from PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, role players everywhere. All the world may be a stage, or it may be a game, or it might, it might be like you see, all the world may be hard for me to wrap up in one thing, with one truism about the world being a stage or a game. We all play our roles. Even the role maker plays a role as the role maker. And the person whose role is calling roll, like roll call, because it's time for me to make a roll call for anybody that wants to be put asleep by some nonsense, because it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. All right, everybody, it's Scoots here, and I'm talking about a brand new sponsor, Everyday Dose. And if you listen to the show, you know how much I love coffee, but it's complicated, right? I love the smell, the steps of making it in the morning, the quiet time I have alone before I get my day started. But somewhere between the first cup and the second cup, I hit a wall, right? I'm drinking enough coffee to try to give me a jolt of energy, but it doesn't last. And then I start to get that edge, I'm jittery, I'm distracted. Later in the day, I start to lose focus. And then I go back to, wait a second, should I just drink 1 cup? Should I drink 3? Should I drink 4? Was it worth it? Like, what are the benefits? And you also know I'm someone that loves to tinker. I love to play around with stuff. I love testing out new gadgets, upgrades to my routine, doing things smarter. And I was like, man, I wish my coffee was smarter, right? I wish my coffee had an upgrade. Because if regular coffee's like a flip phone, what if there was a version of coffee out there that was like a flagship phone? Something that's like coffee, but without the downsides. And that's when I found Everyday Dose. Everyday Dose is coffee plus benefits. They combine high-quality coffee with powerful ingredients like lion's mane and chaga, collagen protein, nootropics, to fuel your brain, boost focus, and give you clean, sustained energy all day long. It tastes just like coffee without the downside. No crash, no jitters, just clean, sustained energy. Right now, for Black Friday, get 61% off your first Coffee Plus starter kit, a free A2 probiotic creamer, and over $100 in free gifts. Plus, enter for a chance to win $100 cash or get your entire order refunded. Visit everydaydose.com/sleep or use code SLEEP at checkout. Thanks, everybody. Sleep With Me podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are the things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots. We got the Thanksgiving season here. Where I live, and I got a quick question for you. If you listen to the show most nights, you fall asleep fast, you listen to the show all night long, or you've been around for years, could you replace Sleep With Me easily? Or would it be like showing up for someone's Thanksgiving and they don't have your favorite dish, whether it's stuffing, mashed potatoes, Brussels sprouts, turkey? Like, what if you love cranberry? They had no cranberry at all. No cranberry gel, no cranberry sauce, no cranberry. What if there's no beverages? You showed up to Thanksgiving and you're like, no, we're having a dry Thanksgiving. Oh, no alcohol? No beverages at all. Well, I don't think I can eat no gravy? No gravy. Gravy's a liquid. You're right. No gravy either. What about butter? Nope. Butter's liquefied on Thanksgiving most of the time, so we're passing on that. All dry. We have a lot of dry stuff. A lot of crackers. Like, which holiday dish or holiday experience is irreplaceable to you? Is it the family? Is it the laughter? Is it the days off from work? Is it the whole experience? The lights, the winding down, the getting cozy, the parades, the specials, What makes your holiday season special? Is that something you want to replace or go without? Because think about that for Sleep With Me. Would you miss it if it was hosted by someone else? If it came out a lot less? If it was less consistent? If there was less episodes? Or if the show was just totally gone? Would that be the same as your Thanksgiving without anything even partially liquid, or without your favorite thing? No pies this year. No dessert at all, in fact. So if there's something about this show or what it does, how it impacts your life in a positive way that you'd miss if it was gone, if you're thankful for something about this show, I need you to show your gratitude with action so we can keep making this podcast. Because then we don't even have to worry about it. If I can get you, the one person that's listening, to do something, because it's either you or nobody right now, tonight, in this moment, that's going to support the show. So are you the person that's going to miss the show and you say, no, my gratitude is action. I love this show. And I would miss you more than mashed potatoes, Scoots. So I'm going to support the show at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. I'm grateful for making this show, and I'm grateful for the people that work on this show, and I'm grateful for the people that support this show so that we can make it for everybody that can't support the show or who doesn't listen enough for it to make sense. So thanks. Oh, Mystery Bard. A lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son, sounds like an earful, wrote the theme song, edits episodes too. Carl W. the Legend, also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer, Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard, I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you, any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Hannah like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
All right, hey everybody, during this holiday season, you should gift yourself the gift of sleep phones with Sleep With Me branded sleep phones. We got a few different ones. And you could get those at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep-phones. That's the only place you could get the Sleep With Me versions of sleep phones. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep-phones. And use the promo code SleepWithMe at checkout to get a discount. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep-phones and use Sleep With Me at checkout. Thanks, everybody. What do you say we get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble, getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, things on your mind that you're thinking about, feelings, so anything emotionally coming up for you, or that's there, or that appears. You say, hey, that happens to me a lot. You say, where'd you come from? Like, oh yeah, we've joked about that before, like sliding into DMs. My feelings just slide right into bed with me. I say, well, I thought I tucked you away. That's what my cover... Here's an idea. Free idea for any companies out there. I think only someplace like Stark Corp or whatever could come up with this. But, I started using a weighted comforter in December, January of the 2 years that were connected to one another. But here's one. What if you had a comforter lined with something? I guess you wouldn't want to keep out feelings. You'd say, well, you could. You could say, all those feelings. Hey, Joy, can you get in here with me? And, Serenity, can you pop right in here? Oh boy, let's get cozy. And I guess this shows that I'm not fully well adjusted because, there is space to say, hey, come on in, anger. Don't worry. Grouch, are you an actual feeling? Maybe I could get in bed with Oscar the Grouch and see, can you leave I don't want to know what's, I guess, are you like some sort of, are you like a hermit crab or something? Like below, whatever's below the garbage can? No, because I've seen your feet before. In that famous film, that one Sesame Street, the one Sesame Street movie I wrote that was never released, Oscar Goes for a Walk. It was not a classic film. Oscar's Long Walk. It was just a movie about Oscar walking. I mean, because that part I saw in some movie. I think that's called, was that Big Bird's movie? Big Bird's Walking? Big Bird walks around town? I don't know. Oh, sorry, I'm supposed to be making a sleep podcast. So if it's feelings keeping you up, it could be physical sensations, changes in time or temperature, or someone trying to invent something, then going on a tangent about Oscar the Grouch, then realizing they needed to get back to their original tangents and hoping they remember to. But whatever's keeping me like awake, I'd like to take your mind off of that. What I'm going to do is I have a safe place here. I'm going to smooth it. I'm going to pat it. I'm going to rub it down. While for a second I thought we would have feelings-proof blankets, I realized that's one of my tendencies. And then I said, well, maybe we don't want maybe we want a permeable, feeling permeable layer. But, I guess I mistakenly dreamed of, this is where you see the podcast, even in the intros, can actually have some growth. I say, well, and I realize, I'm talking to myself too. Say, Scoots, I realize you want a comforter. Kind of like the whole idea of the weighted comforter is like the thing they give you when you're, getting your teeth, looked at with the teeth camera. And I know you'd want one that would be like, we say, can you line that with something that keeps out my feelings? But we know that all your feelings need to be called in and hugged. That's really the secret, which it is. But in this case, you don't have to do that. That's the purpose Sleep With Me does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. I'm going to go off topic, all to keep you company and take your mind off of stuff while you fall asleep. Now, if you're new or if you're a regular listener, man, how much Oscar the Grouch fiction? I don't think I've ever gotten in bed with Oscar the Grouch on an intro before. But now, we've achieved that finally. The grouchy part of me. But, if you're new, this podcast is very different. So I just wanted to tell you that right up front. It doesn't necessarily work for everybody, especially right away. So here's a couple of things to know. One, it's okay not to like the show, or it might not work, or it's okay to be doubtful or skeptical. That's a really normal way to arrive at this podcast. So I don't want to really put your feelings at ease, but much like I was trying to do with myself, like if you're having those feelings or you're not sure, just give the show a few tries and see how it goes. You don't even have to be open-minded. You could just be barely curious. You say, well, I don't know about this podcast and your creaky dulcet tones. And they say, yeah, that's fine. You don't have to be open-minded about it. You could just be, but I'm curious that you're really never going to get to the point. And I say, well, I get to more of the nubs. I don't get to any points. But I get to those nubs because I have a nub on the back of my head. The famous nub, that's where the podcast magic comes from. Really, I do. Some people do have a nub. Some would call it a nubbin, but I call it a nub. If I wore a baseball cap a lot, it would keep it on there because it would be right where the plastic part of the baseball cap would go right under my nub. It's vestigial. I wish, I guess, I don't know what would be there, because you'd say, well, I really wouldn't want anything vestigially on the back of my head. But, because I said, well, what would vestigially be back there? Someone would say some extra brain cells. I said, well, maybe there was. That was where they connected the interesting, my ability to hold court. I had that. It was vestigial, so it's not there anymore. Okay, so this podcast is very different. A couple other things to know. This is a podcast you don't really listen to. You may have figured that out already. You just kind of barely pay attention. It works best if you just listen, almost like you're listening to rain or fuzz or wind. You say, okay, well, it's not exactly, I'm slightly more interesting than the wind or rain. Unless you're some sort of unless you're a meteorologist. And then, even then I say that you probably want some time off. You say, yeah, meteorology is who that's who I am during the day. During the night, I'm a fan of meteors. Believe it or not, I'm into a different kind of meteorology with actual meteors. And I'd say, well, you hopefully one day you have a meteoric rise to a meteor fame when you discover, I don't know, is that possible? Well, no, my dream is riding a meteor across the sky. I know it's not realistic, but, I do dream of that. Oh, that's interesting. I got to get back to the sleep podcast. Otherwise, I have a lot of, how come I guess I could look it up, but yeah, is it strange that, is it spelled like a meteorologist? It sounds like meteor. So would you be an amateur meteorologist? You're a professional meteorologist during the day. But I'm sure the study of meteors is called something else. You say, well, I'm a quasitometrist. Really? Is that someone who works with eyeglasses in the eighth dimension? No, I study meteors. Meteorology was already taken by weather people. I say, really? What was that called? A quasitometologist? Because I got something I could. You sure you don't? Is there anybody who's an expert at helping me see in more than 3 dimensions? Hello? Okay. So this is a podcast you don't really listen to. It's also a podcast that doesn't really put you to sleep. I'm here to keep you company while you fall asleep, not to actually put you to sleep. I'm here to take your mind off of stuff, to keep you company, to be your bore friend, your bore bae, your bore cuz, your bore sib, your bore bestie. Your bore bruh. That's my job. And that's why the shows are over an hour, is so you have plenty of time. So you don't look at the episode and be like, how am I going to fall asleep in 20 minutes? Or what am I going to do then? You say, well, at least Scoots will be here to keep me company, whether I'm awake or asleep. So if you can't sleep, if you're going through something, or you can't sleep on a regular basis, or you need something to wake up, or you just need something to keep you company while you're getting ready for bed as part of your wind down, that's what I'm here for. I'm not really here to put you to sleep. I'm here to take your mind off stuff, and then you fall asleep whenever. So that's different. A podcast you don't listen to, a podcast that doesn't put you to sleep, even though it's a sleep podcast. The other thing that can throw new people off is the structure of the show. Show's just structured kind of very deliberately, but it's flexible. That's the beauty of podcasts and podcast apps. You can listen it. You don't have to listen to them in any order. You could set a sleep timer. You could start it when you want it. You can move it around. You can smooth it. You can pat it. You can rub it down. You can say podcast in a podcast app. So structure show starts off with a greeting. Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and role players everywhere. So hopefully you feel seen and welcome, or that that's what I'm trying to achieve. Sometimes unsuccessfully, but that's the goal I strive for. Then there's business and listener support, and that's one of the ways we're able to be here for you for free twice a week. Then there's an intro. The intro goes from minute 6 or minute 8-ish to minute 20 or so. And it feels like I go on and on and on for some people, but really it's the idea of the intro is to introduce new people to the show, but also for everybody, new listeners and regular listeners, to give you some wind down, some distance from the day, and to ease you into bedtime. And so if you're new, this kind of say, okay, when's this show get started? I say, well, it's kind of always started. It never starts at all. And you say, is that like a cone? And I'd say, I don't know. You mean with a cone with a Kaoan or whatever? I'm not sure. That's a good question. Did you hear earlier when that person was a fan? They were a meteorologist during the day and a meteor fan at night. That's like the cool. I mean, I wish that person would have stuck around. Oh, they're a figment of my imagination. Wow. I have figments of my imagination that are more interesting than me. That's weird. Somebody put that on needlepoint because it's like, it's true. Holy moly. I don't know if I should feel great about that or I should take a breather. But, we say, what's the name? What would you title your 500th autobiography? The story of your life. Figment, well, I guess I would put that in parentheses. My story. I've got figments of my imagination are more interesting than me. And actually, that one's fascinating. You say, what time of day, tell me about your life as a meteorologist and then tell me about your life as a meteor fan. And are there any I'm sure there's a band called The Meteors. I wonder if you're into them. So anyway, structure. So we're still in the structure. So the intro goes on and on and on. So some listeners skip it. 3% of listeners currently. A few thousand people listen to story-only episodes on Patreon. But most people either listen as they're getting ready for bed or as they're unwinding. And then some people are falling asleep during the intro. So kind of see what works for you as you become a regular listener. And you can always adjust. There's always online conversations going on. And more people are just listening as part of the unwinding process or the winding down process and as part of their bedtime routine doing other stuff versus like just strictly falling asleep to the show. But there's no wrong way to use the podcast. If you fall asleep in 30 seconds, that's great. If you wake up in the middle of the night and listen, that's great. Some people listen all night. So just kind of see how it goes. So that's the intro. Then there's business between the intro and the story, again, to keep the podcast free. And then there's the story. Tonight it'll be our episodically modular series, Journey into the World of Tomorrow, where friends play a role-playing game. And then there's thank yous at the end. So that's the structure of the show. The reason I make the show is twofold. One, I've been there, tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep. And I know how it feels out there in the deep, dark night. And I know what it can be like to dread bedtime and for it to be something that's doesn't feel good. And if I can keep you comforted or give you some solace or be a friend in the deep, dark night, that gives me big purpose because I know what it's like there. While I might not know exactly what you're going through, I have a general idea of what it feels like. And that's one part of it. The other part of it is you do deserve a good night's sleep. You do deserve a port in the storm, a place of respite, something you could feel good about and wind down to. And if you get the sleep that you need and you are more well-rested, your world's going to be a better place, and that means my world's going to be a better place, and that's important to me. And it's important for me to say that over and over again, every single episode. You deserve a good night's sleep. You really do. And I know it's not easy, and I know it doesn't always feel good when you can't get it, and you can't get it all the time, I know. And it doesn't feel fair to any of us that struggle with sleep. But I hope I can provide it. Now, the thing is that this definitely show does not work for everybody. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Some people, it's just, this is a very different show. So it just works for the people that it works for, but give it a few tries. There's also sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you, with a list of other sleep podcasts and sleepy stuff. that you could check out. But I really hope I can provide something and help you get the rest you need and deserve. That's why I'm here. I really appreciate you coming by. I work really hard on this show. I yearn and I strive. I really want to help you fall asleep. And here's a couple ways I'm able to be here for you twice a week. All right, hey, everybody, during this holiday season, you should gift yourself the gift of sleep phones with Sleep With Me branded sleep phones. We got a few different ones. And you could get those at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep-phones. That's the only place you could get the Sleep With Me versions of sleep phones. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep-phones. And use the promo code SleepWithMe at checkout to get a discount. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep-phones and use Sleep With Me at checkout. Thanks, everybody. What do you say we get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it the bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. So it could be thoughts, things you're thinking about on your mind. So thoughts, feelings, anything you're experiencing emotionally that's coming up for you. So thoughts, feelings, physical sensations. So it could be, like anything thinking about, anything emotionally coming up for you or physically you're experiencing. Or it could be something else. I don't know. It could be anything, really. If it's keeping you awake, then it's, let's see. I mean, there are positive things that keep us awake. So I don't want to put a blanket statement out there that it's not positive or good, because there is. It's just natural. I don't know. What is, it's not, you could be up from FOMO, fear of missing out. But what would be the thing, because this is a positive reason you can't sleep, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but, if we have good feelings about it, can't wait to get up to do something, missing out on sleep. I don't know, I'll come back to it, hopefully, if I remember. Can't wait to get up. So CWT, Country and Western Television. Country, can't wait to GU. I don't know. I don't have a notebook in front of me. I may pause. But anyway, so whatever's keeping you awake, I'm here to take your mind off of that. What I'm going to do is I got a nice safe place here picked out. Oh boy. I don't know if this safe place is ripe. It depends on what you mean when you say ripe. Because if you do, like, what association you have, you say, is it perfectly ready for you to come and rest? Yes. Is it ripe? You say, no, it smells great, if that's your ripe definition. I don't know who came up with that term, though, because you say, no, that's, you know what I mean? Like they say, oh, I'm trying to think of a neutral way to say it. Those socks are smelling ripe, that are in the hamper. There's a word that doesn't get used as much anymore. Hamper. I wonder how the word hamper probably feels like a hamper. I think this might be the proper use of onerous. What an onerous job if you were a sentient being, to be a hamper. That'll be to be a hamper. It's interesting because I've talked about Riveted or Rivethead, the book by Ben Hamper. It's probably been like 20 or 30 years since I read that book. He was in the Michael Moore documentary, Where's Roger Rabbit? No, where's it called? Roger and Me. Where's Roger Rabbit? So, oh boy, let's get back to a point though. Where was it? Oh, I'm going to create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, things on your mind, physical sense. Oh, no, I talked about all that already. Oh, I got a safe place set aside. Now I'm trying to remember what I was supposed to remember. That happens like every intro. Whatever, maybe I will remember it. I don't know. But so what I'm going to do is I got a safe place here. Just like I said, let's get back there. Then I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, which you've already witnessed a few, superfluous tangents. One of those may have been a superfluous tangent, but whatever's keeping you awake, I'm going to try to take your mind off of that so you could fall asleep. Yeah, I think that's it. Now, if you're new, a couple things you probably need to know right up front. If you're a regular listener, a couple of things I want you to know. So glad to see you back. You look terrific. You're getting ready to get rested there. The thing is, I see you already rested. I see in your future you getting comfortable and cozy, even cozier than you are now. Here's yet another tangent. There's a TV channel on the over-the-air thing called Cozy. I think that's the name of the channel. I don't know if I don't think it has cozy type. It's COZI. I would pronounce that cozy. But I don't think it's a strictly cozy subject matter. I don't know. I'll try to check it later when I get a chance. Where was I? If you're new, hey, regular listeners, excuse me. Let me get to these great new listeners or potential listeners. Right, you're just testing the podcast out. That's the first thing, if you're feeling skeptical or doubtful or confused, about creaky dulcet tones, pointless meanders, that's natural. The usual piece of advice that most people that become regular listeners say is give it 2 or 3 tries. And I'm not going to ask you to be open-minded because that really feels like that would get on my nerves if somebody said, just be open-minded, okay? About what, cozy TV? Oh, well, I just want to see what's on there. I can't do, that's open-minded. I say, what the heck they got on cozy TV? If it's, I'm just guessing that it's reruns of some kind. So then it would depend. I don't know if I could keep it open-minded if it's some sort of rerun that I don't have any interest in, but I could try if you're saying, if you said that, just watch it. I know you don't want to watch Big Wagons Rollin' from 1955 or whatever, but just watch one episode and then after that is, I don't know, Great Danes, talking to fire hydrants or something. Is that an animated show? I don't know. It could be, but it's a classic animated show. Wait, Great Danes talk to fire hydrants. What would be the plot of an episode? Well, I don't know. You'd have to check it out and see. Okay. Well, that sounds like appointment TV to me. So if you're new, though, just kind of say, well, I'm not so sure about that Big Wagons Rolling. No offense to wagon-based TV programs or those kind of things. I've just never been into them. But yeah, sure. If you want me to watch one, I'll give it a shot and see how it goes. Particularly in this case, because the podcast is more here to put you to sleep. And the reason most people say that, most listeners, it's because this podcast takes some adjusting because you say, well, you don't really watch it. So I don't watch Big Wagons Rolling. No, you just kind of there while you're, it's great for working. You put it on and, is it like Little House on the Prairie? Well, that's the best part. It's like Little House on the Prairie, but without the distracting parts that make you want to watch. You just it's mostly them rolling in wagons, and then they'll stop, and then they'll boil some water or do some gathering or mending or chatting. So it's perfect for working too. It's like a TV show. Once upon a time, it was designed to be watched. Wow, this cozy TV is sounding cozier and cozier the more you make up stuff about it. Yeah. So that's the thing about sleeping with me. You just kind of barely pay attention. During the day, you might work to Big Wagons Rolling. At night, you could listen to Sleep with Me. So it's a podcast you don't really listen to. It also doesn't really put you to sleep, believe it or not. It's more here to keep you company while you drift off. And that's why the shows are about an hour, is they just give you plenty of time. So, and then if you can't sleep, I'll be here to the end. I'm here to keep you company whether you're awake or asleep. I guess just like that in a TV show analogy, see that wagon's rolling whether you're watching it or not. So those are two important things. The other things that throw new listeners off is creaky dulcet tones, my personality, my sense of mild humor, or just the idea, the whole concept of the podcast can throw people off. So I just wanted to tell you that if you're feeling off, that's normal. Oh, but so to explain things, though, so structurally, if it throws you off, some common objections are, okay, show starts off with a greeting. I think everybody agrees that's nice. It's nice to be greeted, and I try to greet everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends beyond the binary. And in this case, bakers, because it's a Great British Bake Off episode. Then after that is a business. That's how, and usually, actually, there's only one company when I'm recording this, like Helix, that runs ads in the beginning. And then there's usually something for our Patreon. And somewhere in there, I'll talk about resources for you, the listeners. So that's usually the business up front. So whatever, 5-6 minutes or something. Then and that's also full, I ramble even then. Then there's our intro. Now the intro, like some people think it's part of the business, and it's kind of, it's like slow, like that wagon thing. I can't say it anymore, but, it's just the beginning of the podcast. It takes 20 minutes, but that's just because it takes me that long to explain stuff, and I get mixed up and I get distracted. But also, so the whole idea of intro, this is like one of the few intros that serves two purposes. Like normally an intro would be like in a radio station where they remind you, or a news where they say, well, we're at the top of the hour. So in case you missed it, or in case you don't know what radio station this is, because you just tuned in, or they say, this is a podcast about, this is the Big Wagons Rolling podcast, a podcast where we talk about the greatest TV show from the 1950s and my favorite show, Big Wagons Rolling, hardy har har. Now let's get to the episode. Through the Crescent Valley, part 1. And then we'll talk about our rewatch. Then we'll talk about ceramic ware, and that'll be it for the episode. We'll have your calls, calling the chuck wagon or whatever we call it at the end of the show. So get ready for episode 2014 of Big Wagons Rolling. I guess you can't call it that, so you'd have to call it Braggin on Big Wagons Rolling cast. So that would be a normal podcast intro. I mean, other than the subject matter, just the structure. But our show is to put you to sleep, so the intro can kind of ease you into bedtime. For a regular listener, ideally, it offers you a place to sigh with relief. You say, okay, Scoots is going to go off topic again. He's never talked about Big Wagons Rolling. He's probably mentioned Cozy TV before. And holy Michael Eisner, is that a case of made-up synergy with this imaginary show? You say, was Michael Landon in that? And I say, no, but Landon Jeffries was on Big Wagons Rolling. He played Cal, That's the first name that popped in my head. He's on wagon 47. Whoa, there wasn't 47 wagons. You got to listen to that Big Wagon Braggin podcast to find out about that. Okay, so the intro, though, if you're new, I just wanted to tell you that listeners listen to it to wind down. Like some people fall asleep during the intro, but a lot of people listen before they get into bed or as they're in bed, easing into bedtime. So the intro gives you some distance from the day, because at least for most of us that have trouble sleeping, it's not just something you can turn on or off. So that's the purpose the intro kind of serves, to roll into bedtime slowly, roll you off into dreamland. About 2% of people skip the intro and just listen to the story part, and then a couple thousand people just listen to story-only stuff on Patreon. So that's the intro. Then there's business. For regular listeners, that's when your hand hits the fridge tomorrow, or write yourself a note, because if you're asleep during that part and you miss it, that's what keeps the wagon rolling. And the reason that's there is just like, that's how podcasts, that's like where that's like, I don't know, just a podcast structure. Then after that is our episode. Tonight we'll be talking about the Great British Bake Off and, what happened in an episode, and you won't miss anything. So you don't need to watch the show, or if you're a fan of the show, you'll say, these heavens, you say, how many different ways can Scooter say Rahul? And I'd say, I don't know how many different ways can Noel say it. How many different ways can Scooter say Noel? And I'd say Noel or Noel. 2 right there. Rahul. So, they say, well, there's actually a correct way. And I'd say, you believe how many times you believe me. I realize that, yeah. I apologize. So, okay. What was my point? Oh, so we'll talk about the Great British Bake Off. Then we will, then there's some thank yous. So this is the structure of the show. And the reason I make the show is because I care, because I've been there. I know how it feels, tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep, waking up, all those things, getting back to sleep. So if I can help, while this podcast does not work for everybody, I really hope it can help you, because the other side of it is you deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a place where you could rest, where you can get some solace and some relaxation and recover from the day to day. And if you do that, and maybe you're in a position where you start getting more and more rest, whether it's because of this show or this show kind of spurred you on to have a more structured bedtime routine. When you get more rest, our world is a better place, because your world is a better place. So it gives me honor to be able to do that, because you deserve, I prefer that you have a good night's sleep versus the rigmarole that I go through sometimes. So that's, so those are the reasons I make the show. And yeah, like I said, there could be, sometimes you can't sleep because of positive. You say, oh boy, is there a new episode? Well, one, you could not sleep because you say, there's a new episode of Big Wagons Rolling coming out. It's the holiday premiere. And you say, I thought it was from the 1950s. Yeah, it's rediscovered in the archives of Scooter's mind. It was crystallized in a piece of amber, and they extracted it. Oh, interesting. But maybe it's about the kids on Big Wagon Rolling, because they're going after the Crescent Valley. They're going to some place called the North Pole. It's not at the North Pole, but it was the first town. It's called North Pole. I don't know, North Pole, Wisconsin or something. Yeah, or Idaho. Yeah, North Pole, Idaho, I think it was. And it's but this was back whenever not in 1950s, in the whatever. I don't know what year they were on the wagons rolling, but, and they go there, and it's like you say, wow, they even had that back then, like a fake North Pole, open all year, bring the kids, where Santa Claus is, there's reindeer, there's a slide. I don't know what other stuff they have, but the kids on the big wagons rolling, they can't sleep because they know in the morning they're going to be pulling into the North Pole, Wisconsin, Idaho, Wisconsin. One's a city, one's a state, and one's an imaginary name. So they're up all night, tossing and whispering. You really think we're going to be able? Do you think Santa lets you sit on his lap? Is there set? Oh boy, they have this thing called hot cocoa there. Holy cow! I can't wait. So, do you think they leave milk and cookies out for Santa every night or what? So, we've all been there. I mean, we haven't been in that exact situation. So if I can help you with that too, that's like a positive when you can't sleep. And there are people that listen to the show because they're getting ready to do something or go somewhere or have a visit or, something big going on. So I'm happy to help wherever I can. And I think that's it. I'm really glad you're here. I really appreciate your time and you coming by. And I really work hard. You're a nice driver. I really hope I can help you fall asleep. And here's a couple of ways I'm able to bring this podcast on the regular twice a week for free. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. And I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever is keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, so things on your mind that are going through your head, physical sensations or feelings, anything emotionally you're experiencing, whatever is keeping you awake. It could be some of those things. It could be changes in time or temperature or routine or something situational, anticipation or decompression, whatever it is. I'd like to take your mind off of that. What I propose to do, and let me know what you think about this, or see if you could say, well, I don't know. Let me see how it goes. I got a safe place here. I've smoothed it. I've patted it. I've rubbed it down. Then I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones. Oh, so creaky are my tones. So creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders. So those are like where I go off topic, as you've already seen a few times. Superfluous tangents. I'm going to get mixed up. I'm going to go off topic, all to keep you company while you fall asleep. Now, if you're new, a couple of things I want you to know. This podcast is very different. So let me give you a couple pieces of, a helpful experience from long-term listeners. This is the wisdom of long-term listeners they've passed on to me to pass on to you. And that sounds like a joke, but it's not. The one is that this is a podcast you just barely listen to. You almost listen to it passively or not at all. But it's weird. You can kind of actively listen, or you can shift your listening modes depending on what your needs are. But you kind of find that out as you become a regular listener. So when you first start out, it's kind of the idea that you're just kind of barely listening. If you're listening closely and anticipating the show getting started or going somewhere or making sense, that could be a little bit, you say, okay, it's, here's the thing. Like some people sit in rocking chairs have they fallen out of favor, or are they just not as popular anymore? I don't know. I mean, I don't have a rocking chair in my home. There was a glider rocker when my daughter was born, but it ended up that actually the yoga ball worked better, or the couch. That's not a knock on glider rockers, but like a rocking chair is something, I guess, steeped in nostalgia. But if you were sitting in it, you'd be rocking back and forth, right? Or you could be sitting there. I think that's the problem with rocking chairs, is they don't have they're not good for just sitting around. And I don't know if I've ever seen, and when people try to make plush rocking chairs and they say, well, this is a recliner with some rocking action. Well, we've gone far afield already, because I could talk about this for hours. But I was just thinking, like, if you sit in a rocking chair, you kind of know what you're in for. You're like, this chair ain't going anywhere except back and forth. That's kind of like this podcast. It goes a little bit more than back and forth, but as you become a regular listener, your expectations of a rocking chair are limited. No offense, rocking chairs. I mean, I'm no D.H. Lawrence, so I'm not going to start, I don't need to go down that's a whole different situation, and that's not even a chair. But, so now my mind's even more confused. My mind's like, why'd you bring up? And I said, well, just because you said, what is D.H. Lawrence responsible for all rocking-based fiction? And I'd say, no, I mean, I'm sure there's rock and roll or rock-based fiction. But when you have a rocking object, and then I'm thinking about sitting in it. So, I don't know. That's one thing. It's just to passively listen. Or I tried to create an analogy, and it went exactly the way it was supposed to, just like that was a sleep with me analogy. I tried to make a non-sleep with me analogy, and it became a sleep with me analogy. So that's perfect. So just barely listen. The other thing is this podcast really doesn't put you to sleep. It's here to keep you company while you fall asleep, which is different in the sense that I'm only here to keep your mind off stuff. The reason the episodes are about an hour is so you have plenty of time to fall asleep. I'm here to be your companion in the deep, dark night. Your bore friend, your bore bae, your bore cuz, your bore sib, your bore bestie, your bore bruh. I'm here to be your bore bud. And take your mind off stuff. That's why. So the episodes are not over an hour, so you have plenty of time to fall asleep. So those are two things that throw new people off. It takes 2 or 3 tries to get used to. That's what repetitive people say over and over again. I literally just read a review where someone heard about the podcast a year ago, listened once, said, oh boy, not for me. Then came back, listened again, and said, still not for me, but I'll listen to it. Pleasant enough. Then the next night said, it's pleasant enough. Might as well listen again. Then the third night, they became a regular listener. And that's a pretty circuitous path to get to it. But I don't know, is that what it's like being a rocking chair? I think it is, because here's the thing. Not everybody, there are rocking chair stereotypes, right? You got the Hitchcockian use of rocking chairs, which we won't get into. And then you have older adults, and then that's it. And you say, okay, well, if we broaden our view of who could sit in a rocking chair, anybody who's into sitting, you would still say, so if we said the whole planet, this would be like a logic question on a standardized test. You say, if the whole planet could sit in a rocking chair, then I guess the next question would be, would the whole planet sit in a rocking chair? No. But if they could, then we would know who would, right? Right? And you say, okay, wow, I'm impressed by this data of the people that like sitting in rocking chairs. There is a percentage of the planet that does like it. I guess I don't even know what point. I thought I was almost to a point, and then I said, but give it a few tries. Is that what I was saying? And then it'll grow on you. But just see how it goes. That's one thing. The other thing that could throw new people off, understandably, is the structure of the show. Even throws regular listeners off. So the show starts off with greeting, friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, so you feel seen and welcome. Then we have business and listener support, resources for you, resources so the show can stay free, and sponsors. Then there's the intro. The intro goes from like minute 6 or minute 8 to around minute 20. And the intro introduces the podcast. Obviously, that's why it's called an intro. It could be called a show within a show. Like it could be I don't know what we'd call it though, other than the intro, the extra rambles. But it serves a secondary purpose for regular listeners or even new listeners, is that it slowly gives you some distance from the day. It slowly helps you wind down. And a lot of regular listeners use it as part of their wind down routine, whether they're getting ready for bed or they're in bed getting cozy or they're doing some sort of other relaxing activity. So the idea of the intro is that for us that can't sleep or have issues falling asleep or waking up or stuff, it's not some quick fix. It's not a switch that it's like a dimmer. Yeah, I'm a slow dimmer. And yes, I'm dim. My brain just said that. Oh, boy. So that's why the intro goes on and on and on. is to help you ease into bedtime. And there is 3% of regular listeners that skip ahead to 20 minutes and start the show there and kind of just see where it starts. There's people that listen all night. There's people that start the show in the middle of the night. There's people that listen during the day while they work or they need a break. So you can kind of see what works for you and go from there. So that's the intro. Then after the intro is our sponsors, and that's just kind of the structure of podcasts. Is that's called the middle of it's the mid roll, even though it's not the middle of the show. And so those are two more of the sponsors that help keep the show free. Then there'll be our story. Tonight it'll be a new thing we've only done in one other style before, and I haven't recorded it, but I'm thinking I'm going to look through some old catalogs, and I'll have to explain what a catalog is. That's going to be exciting, sleepy stuff. And I'm sure there's people that are like, what do you mean people don't know what catalogs are? And I say, well, I mean, it's not catalogs and soon, I mean, in 2 generations, it will be history. I'm not trying to say that in a good or bad way, but I say there's still some catalogs that are around, but for the most part, that's just not a thing anymore. But I said, well, let's look back at some and just see where it goes. Because one time we looked through old HBO guides, and that turned out pretty well. That was a popular episode. So we'll see how that goes. So that'll be the story. So that's the structure show. Then there's some thank yous at the end, thanking listeners who do stuff to help the show out. And I think that's it. I mean, the only other things to know is I make the show because I've been there and because you deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a place you can rest and get some sleep. And that's important to me because it means our world will be a better place if your world's a better place, if you're able to inhabit your world a little bit more. And it gives me purpose. So I'm glad you're here. I work really hard at Your Internet Drive, and I really want to help you fall asleep. Thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple of ways I'm able to bring the show free twice a week. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever is keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, things on your mind that you're thinking about, feelings, anything emotionally coming up for you. It could be physical sensations. So it could be physical sensations. It could be changes in time or temperature, or it could just be something else, whatever, like a routine, noise, outside noise. Maybe you don't even know why. Whatever it is, it's keeping you awake or got you, that's whatever's keep going on. I'm here to keep you company and take your mind off of that. What I propose to do and what I'm going to attempt to do, if you're new, is I can't win you over in one episode. It's just not realistic. But for the first episode, I'll attempt to kind of bring you to neutrality. Then I'm going to also at the same time, I'm going to I got a safe place set aside. I'm going to smooth the safe place out. I'm going to pat it. I'm going to rub it down. I'm going to say safe place. And I'm going to say it in honor of Baby D and the East Coast family. I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. Baby D, or is there Belle Biv and DeVoe? That's what I was, BBDV. There was once upon a time, there was a men's company called BVD, I think. I wonder what that stood for. Belle Biv DeVoe, that's BBD. But BVD, I think that was well, I don't know. I mean, I don't mean to make you giggle this early, but they were like what is referred to as tighty whities, which is a form of men's underwear that's still oh boy, we're talking about men's underwear so early. This is family friendly, though. I mean, don't wear them around the house because that's, I guess you'd say, yeah, that's not, but it was a form of men's underwear. It's still very popular, I think. So I guess I don't want to comment on it other than that, because I say, wait a second, not only am I that's the underwear I wear, Scoots, I'm wearing BVDs, and I say, okay, well, I'm trying to get through a sleep podcast intro, so I gotta get off this topic as soon as I can. I thought I was going to talk about dice cups and not, that's another thing that those companies would make, undergarment, they would protective wear too. Oh boy! Next thing you know, I'm going to be saying ICUP because, please don't. I was just pandering to the tweens in the audience. I mean, to think about it, if a tween is out there and they don't have a parent that wears tighty-whities, or a grandparent that stays with them, or some sort of relative. You know, we used to be exposed to tighty-whitey marketing. You say, not as much as sugared cereal and fast food back in the 80s, but that was a boom time for basic men's underwear. I don't know. That's, how am I'm supposed to be introducing a sleep podcast. So, okay, so I'm going to send I'm going to try to create a safe place, which I may have just, we'll circle back. I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. That was definitely that was a superfluous tangent. I had no idea. Even this is probably like an episode in the high 900s. And I don't think I've talked about like that kind of underwear in 900 and something, almost 1,000 episodes till today. Or dice cups. So, I mean, that's, there's something new. That's why I keep recording these podcast episodes. My brain's always got something new to make me blush. Okay, so, if you're new, well, you're new, welcome. I try to be as welcoming as I can. Now, the one thing to know is this podcast is not for everybody, clearly. I mean, probably the Haynes family and the people that are entitled to the Fruit of the Loom stockholders everywhere, they're saying, what in the name, can't you? And I said, don't worry. I moved it around. Talk about, what is that called? Common time or whatever you're supposed to do in the news. Yeah, no, don't worry. If you got a underwear company that sells basic men's underwear, not underwear for basic men, don't worry. I'm not judging. I'm just saying that, those are the companies I can think of right now. I can see all of you lined up at TJ Maxx, because that's where I see you the most. Okay, so, don't worry. Don't worry. There's other brands that are popping in my head for inclusion, but I say, can I just get to the sleep podcast that I make, please? I don't need to raise brand and awareness for all undergarments at this time. So, okay. Oh, boy. So this podcast is very different. Clearly, we've seen that already. It's not for everybody, but if it might give it a few tries. That's what most listeners say. Because it is just a little bit different and a little bit strange, and you've probably heard a ton of different stuff to put you to sleep in the past. That's why this is different. But then it takes some getting used to, because you don't really listen to this episode or this podcast. You just kind of barely pay attention to it. So that's one thing. The other things to know is this is also not a podcast to put you to sleep. My job is to keep you company while you fall asleep. That's why the shows are over an hour, to give you plenty of time to drift off. So then you can fall asleep at your leisure. Ideally, you're barely listening to me, and then the next thing you know, you're awake tomorrow. So those are the other things. The structure of the show is also different, so I want to tell you about that. Show starts off with a greeting. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, boys and girls, role players everywhere, that kind of stuff. That's the greeting. Then we go into supporter stuff, so sponsors and support for listeners. Then there's an intro, which is around 12 to 22 minutes. Lately, they've been in the high 20 minutes, but I'm trying to get them, I'm trying to rein them in a little bit. And then after the intro is business. That's like the main spot for podcast sponsors. So the intro sets you up to go to sleep. Then we have the sponsors. Then we have the bedtime story to put you to sleep. And tonight will be our episodically modular series, Your Journey into the Land of Tomorrow. So that's the structure of the show. Oh, and there's thank yous at the end. And how we were able to bring it to you for totally free, which is cool. The other thing I want you to know is I make this show because you deserve a good night's sleep. I really believe that. I really believe that the world will be a better place if you're rested and you get the sleep you need. Your world's going to be better. My world's going to be better. And if you get to the point where you flourish and you're resting on a regular basis, that's amazing too. So that's important to me. The other thing is I've been there, tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep, all those things. I mean, believe me, I'll be thinking about that BVD thing for hours. I'm trying to think of what initials that would do to have, I mean, it must be someone's name or something, because what else how would it have to do with BVD? What does it have to do with undergarments? And then somebody say that was not an underwear company, Scoots. And I'd say, oh, really? Well, I guess I just imagined it then. What is I saying? Oh, I've been there. So if I can help you, not only do you deserve a good night's sleep, I know how it feels to dread bedtime or to wonder about it. So that's why I make the show. I just realized I didn't do a good job explaining the intro because one of the parts of the intro as you become a regular listener is that it becomes ideally part of your wind down routine or your getting ready for bed routine. To help ease you into bedtime. That's why the intro is somewhere between 12 and 25 minutes because I've just seen over the 7+ years I've been making the show, that gives you some distance between the day. And then the story ideally would be when you fall asleep. But people use the show tons of different ways. So if you're new, just kind of see how it goes. Give the show a few tries. It might not even work for you. I got a list of other podcasts at sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. So yeah, that's everything. I mean, I don't think I'd really trying to think of a way to get out of this. I don't think I'll be able to talk about dice cups, but those are the things, I guess they're popular with backgammon, but the ones with the backgammons are an oval so they can fit in a closed backgammon case. I think Scrabble probably had them. I have a game, can't remember what it's called, and it's not called Quasar, but that's a word that popped in my head. I think it's some dice game. That came in a cup. I don't know if it's a velvet-lined cup. Great question, imagination. That was the next question my brain just asked. Do you think that? And I say, no, I think that's just a rubber plastic cup. But you're right. The dice must love being cloaked in velvet. I mean, who wouldn't? You say, if I was a dice, I would want to be a dice cloaked in velvet. I guess if I was cloaked in velvet, that'd be different. Because I can't see the dice because it's cloaked in velvet, or it doesn't roll. It always rolls on one of 3 numbers because it's cloaked in. I say, no. Ensconced. Remember when I was talking about being ensconced in velvet? Or ensconced in something. Is there a town in Wisconsin called ensconced in Wisconsin? How about a movie? Coming of age story. Ensconced in Wisconsin. Any takers out there? Ensconced in Wisconsin. You can even hear, this is A.O. Scott. I'm talking about I guess not. Ensconced, it would be in print anyway. Got to go see it. What's the name of the movie? Ensconced in Wisconsin. Ensconced? Ensconced. Rolls off the tongue. It was surprisingly, 98% of the time, ensconced in Wisconsin. Talk about 2 words that feel perfectly weighted with one another. I thought, oh boy, I got to wrap this up though, because I'm glad you're here. I really hope I can help you fall asleep. I really appreciate you checking the show out. I work really hard at Earn a Nice Drive. I really want to help you fall asleep or just keep you company, whether you're awake or asleep. So thanks so much. And here's a couple ways I'm able to be here for you free twice a week. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about Helix. And you got to keep Helix in mind when you're doing your holiday hosting. And when you're thinking about your family, say, are you going to be comfortable this holiday season, this winter? Because I'm thinking of a couple people in my family that could use that trip to helixsleep.com/sleep to take that Helix sleep quiz. I'm thinking of my brother. I'm thinking of my dad. But I don't know if you have guests coming. What could be better than tucking them in a nice, comfortable Helix? Or as your kids are getting older, maybe it's time to upgrade their mattress as well. Maybe it's a self-gifting time, and you need a Helix. Have you taken the Helix quiz? How's the mattress you're sleeping in now? Was it made for you, your sleep preferences, your feel preferences? Because you've heard me talking about my Helix for years, how it fits my needs because I took that Helix quiz. You know, I sleep on my side, I sleep on my stomach. The Helix quiz matches me each time. I mean, I'm getting ready to embark on a whole new long-term relationship now that I moved with a Helix mattress. And I really miss my Helix Dusk Luxe. It kept me from overheating at night, kept me comfortable whether it was on my side or my stomach or my back. But it's not about one mattress to fit everyone. It's about matching you with a mattress that's going to fit you and your needs or you and your partner's needs. So take that quiz. See helixsleep.com/sleep. You deserve a new bed. Your guests deserve a new bed. And of course, Helix has an amazing deal for our listeners. So go to helixsleep.com/sleep for 27% off site-wide during their Black Friday sale. This offer is exclusive for listeners of Sleep With Me. That's helixsleep.com/sleep for this exclusive offer. 27% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. That's helixsleep.com/sleep. Thanks, everybody.